How's it going, everybody, and welcome to your April 2021 horoscope for Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Thank you guys so much for being here, liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And before you go ahead and skip to your sign, let me just say a few things real quick. Yes, I'm bringing monthly horoscopes back. I'm super excited about doing this. However, these horoscopes I am doing, they're a little bit different. I'm not going to be spending any time actually talking about the transit. I'm actually just going to go straight into delineating it for you, what it means for your rising sign. Of course, this is going to be all for rising signs, Cancer rising, Scorpio rising, Pisces rising. Try not to watch this for your sun sign, although I guess I can't stop you. However, these are going to be really straight to the point. So when you watch my weekly horoscope, you can have an easier time kind of relating what, I'm talking about and how it's really going to be affecting your chart. Because I talk a lot about, hey, look at where Pisces or Aries is at in your chart. Yeah, this is supposed to be watched in tandem with my weekly horoscope, so you can go through the weeks in this monthly and then be able to relate it back to there. So anyway, I'll stop rambling. Let's go ahead and get started with the horoscopes. Cancer rising for April. Week one, your mental energy, your mental attention is going to be really focused on your career and your public life, making announcements, going public with things, just being a lot more vocal, maybe more present on social media, just having a lot more to say in general, especially out when it comes to your career, your public life. Not only is your mental energy going to be drawn there too, just your thoughts overall in general are going to just be more career focused. You're going to be enjoying more things kind of alone. I think you're actually going to be doing more career-focused stuff, more isolated, more private. You might actually also have some frustrations. There's kind of like this. There's the sense of being frustrated with something, but maybe not knowing exactly what it is. Maybe, you're overstimulated and you're kind of going in too many directions and you're not necessarily sure which one's which. You're going to be kind of exploring areas in which you're not always really exploring, and I think it's going to be kind of driving your curiosity. So while there is the sense of not being sure exactly what you're doing, there is this also like, let's see where this trail leads me. Let's see what happens if I keep going down this path. And yeah, the weekend you're still going to be confusing, but you're not really gonna have any idea where you're going, but I think there's some good things that are gonna end up popping up left and right. So as we go into week 2 of April, this is when you're gonna have some new and refreshing energy around your work and your public image. Maybe if you haven't posted a selfie in a while, or maybe if you just want to, have a refreshing of things in your workspace. Like for me, when I have a new moon in this area, this was like when I kind of like revamp some of my social media stuff. So you're going to be feeling good, though. I think it's going to be I think you're going to feel good, engaged with your work, engaged with your social life, public life at least. Feeling like you can start something new here. You're going to then in week 2 as well start actually enjoying more of your friends and like more community more, where you're going to be more involved with just friendships and networking in general, and it's going to feel good and exciting, like not just like maybe not as fun as it maybe has, maybe it hasn't been that fun lately. When, as we get to week 2 and Venus enters Taurus, you're going to be feeling pretty good about friends. But by the weekend, you're going to be kind of anxious about things that you still can't see. So, not being able to really, again, your curiosity at this time of exploring new things is fun, but there's still this anxiety of not being able to like really know what you're looking into. It's stimulating, but pretty much by the end of the week, everything really starts to click and the ball really starts to move forward, especially by the end of week 2. Now, week 3 is when really all of like the major things happen in April, and your energy, your mental energy, your personal energy, your just personality in general is going to be much more gravitated towards friendships, networking, social life at this point. Last week at that point, you were just feeling good about friends, maybe starting to get out more. And at this point, it's much more focused on the social aspect, both in your personal energy and mental energy. You might do something last minute, do like a last minute hangout with friends, a last minute get together, a last minute connection, some type of spontaneous, sudden, spur of the moment opportunity kind of comes up. So be open to it, or you might meet someone random. This looks the problem is this could be good or bad. I think it really depends on the situation. Either way, it will be unexpected. It will be spontaneous, and this might turn out good. This might just turn out, at minimum, you just kind of got curious about something at the very least. However, the problem is by the end of the week of week 3, something about those plans might not like go well. Like something about it, like maybe things were looking good and then something falls through, and by the end of the week you kind of start to get crabby. You're going to start to feel more irritated. You're going to kind of start to feel more frustrated personally. You're going to feel very kind of, pulled in a lot of different directions with your emotions. You're going to be feeling very emotionally impulsive, especially when it comes to things that you're frustrated about or angry about. But you are going to feel also like you need to be more physically active, more physically engaged. You're also just going to be really focused on what the necessities of your what you need to be doing so much as than what you want to be doing. As we get to week 4 though, and we really close out April, it looks like that you're going to end up finding some solutions to any of the problems that you might have had with like friends or community or meeting up, especially if it related to like borrowing something from someone perhaps, or some type of transaction when it came to money or a personal item. That looks like it gets handled. It gets addressed. It might be kind of a stalemate, and there might be kind of this frustration with it, but it could be a win-win. Try not to make it a lose-lose situation. However, you might need to ask a favor. You might need to be the friend that maybe someone asks a favor of you, and you might have to be the friend, or you need to have ask a favor of a friend by the end of the month. It looks like there's some type of needing situation or needing someone else, needing a community for something by the end of the month. And then we get to the full moon in Scorpio. And this full moon's highlighting your 5th house, which the 5th house is all about love, romance, sex, creativity, passion. And with this being, you're ruled by the moon. You're a Cancer rising. The moon being full, being highlighted, there's this really big look at your 5th house of going, what do you actually want? And maybe you find out what you want by cutting out what you don't want. That's one way Scorpio kind of figures out what's important, is by getting rid of what's not important. Think of, think of spring. We're in springtime now. All of the dead branches and stuff, they're starting to become alive. They're starting to kind of, let go of that tension. And I think this full moon is really a big opportunity at the end of this to really look at what communities that you're connected to and why you're connected to them. Like what connects you guys, what, hobbies or shared passions or shared interests connect you to the communities, connect you to your friends. And there's this sense of holding on to the things that are really important to you, that mean something to you, that actually, are significant. And then there's this sense of really letting go of everything else that, isn't healthy, that isn't going to work. This full moon at the end of the month really looks like a good cleansing out, especially of, love life, passion, sex, like a lot of things that are either problems or that need to get hashed out are going to get brought up during this full moon. So as we close out April for the Cancer risings, it looks pretty good as far as career stuff goes. Like you guys have been feeling that for a while, and you guys also had a lot of problems and a lot of frustrations with that last year. So it's kind of nice to actually get things, going a little bit more at this point. I think you're going to be curious about learning new things, and I also think that as you socialize more and connect more with friends, you're really going to kind of ignite something deeper within yourself in a sense of, passion, curiosity, fun. It just might be a little hypersensitive, right? It might be a lot all at once, but it does look good for the most part. So Scorpio risings for April, the first week of April, your mental energy and your thoughts are much more going to be focused towards your health, your day-to-day activities, your work. What are you engaged in? Your mind's going to be really happy, playing around, engineering something, putting something together, or just really engaging in something that you're really passionate about. You might be occupied with someone else at this point too, doing a lot with someone, but there's also this sense of, because you're occupied with someone else, because you're, enjoying time with someone else, you're going to have to like be on top of your schedule, right, to make time for that. But there's going to be this kind of sense of uncertainty. You've been feeling this way for a little bit of, being in a space of like, oh, I don't know, kind of like stuck at a fork in the road. Is like, is this the way I'm seeing things, or is this the way I'm seeing things? Is this the truth, or is that the truth? And there's the sense of kind of getting almost like a paranoia with certain things and with certain people. So try to, and during this first week, you're going to feel very confused. You're going to feel very like, okay, I don't know what I want. I don't know if this is, you can be idealizing a situation, but then the reality of it is much more like stressful than you might want. And so there's going to be this, like, I guess, confusion of where you're at with things just in general. And so try not to make any crazy decisions. By the end of the weekend, you'll have a better grip on your time. You'll have a better, situation where you can kind of fully process things. So as we get to week 2, it really looks like you might attract a relationship of some sort. I mean, at this point, you are going to be there's going to be kind of like this new beginning to, starting a new schedule, starting a new routine, getting like on top of that business. But it also looks like, you're going to attract some type of relationship, whether you're just engaged with someone really cool, or, you are already in a relationship and you're just really digging your partner and you guys are just getting along, or they're also doing really good. At this time too, you're going to also want to be like maximizing the space that you have. Whether that's like the private areas in your life, wanting to understand, clear it more, like get the breeze going through, those darker areas in your life that you might repress, or the more private areas of your life. So, doing more and just kind of like getting more irons in the fire, so to say. Maximizing your space is really the way I really want to put it. And by the end of the weekend on week 2, you're going to be kind of getting a lot of mental clicks of like, okay, this is, how things need to be addressed within this relationship. This is also how at this point, you're going to be just kind of, again, not necessarily lost and confused, but definitely still in a state of like, questioning things. And I think by the end of week 2, you kind of get the mental or the verbal confirmation that you need to kind of make a decision and to go, okay, this is the direction that I should be leaning in. So it looks really cool. And it also looks like by this point too, you kind of really are able to juggle and handle, your work life along with the relationships in your life. So week 3 is really where, April kind of hits. There's a lot going on in week 3. For you guys, your mental energy, your personal energy is going to be much more focused on a relationship, on a specific someone. Now, again, in astrology, we all get really excited when we say relationship because we think, this also is going to signify partnerships. So specifically, if like you're married, this will be bringing up your, marriage partner. But this could also just be any individual. However, this individual does look great. It looks fun. Things kind of like suddenly pop off, or at least you're kind of spontaneous, or this person is a spontaneous meetup. It is a spontaneous, unexpected thing, and it looks pretty good for the most part. Just don't be afraid to be spontaneous, but just don't create instability where the ground is really solid. I think that's one of the issues that you might see with this person. It's that like, this is kind of crazy, but it can not necessarily be like too crazy, but it can definitely be like a little unstable, which, if you're rocking the boat, you can get a little, queasy about that. And there's going to be certain restrictions that have to be put in place with this relationship by week 3. There's going to be some type of rules or some type of limitation that restricts it. And, restrictions aren't always a bad thing. I think this might actually be good. This is how you kind of have your cake and eat it too. This looks like, this might be a restriction or a limitation from the home or the family life, or your living situation is restricting maybe a lot of this relationship, or there's something from that area that's causing a conflict there. But while there is some type of tension, it's not, the worst thing in the world. It does look solvable, and it looks okay for now. Your energy, though, by the end of the week is going to take a much more spiritual turn, and you're going to be much more focused on nurturing your spirit. You're going to be much more, like I wrote here, you're going to nurture your spirit, young warrior. By the end of week 3, you're going to be like kind of like in a sense of after a battle, after a long war, after a long day of doing a bunch of bullshit, you run in the door, you drop everything, and you just like want to relax, right? That's kind of what gets to happen by the end of week 3, and you're going to be much more focused on your spirituality, your philosophy, your beliefs, educating yourself, and it's going to be very nurturing. It's going to be very it's going to be hypersensitive, so you might feel, again, kind of like not pushed in a corner, but you might feel a little bit insecure, but this is like a good feeling. You'll feel cleansed in a sense. But then week 4, we close out April, and honestly, I truly think, for everybody, Scorpio, April really is much more of the month where you've got a lot going on, and it's really this last week. Because whatever conversation that needs to happen with this person or whatever needs to be said, it's going to get addressed. And it might be random. It might be kind of sudden. And I don't think it's going to be horrible, but it's definitely not going to be the best conversation ever. And it might come to a stalemate, right? Like just because there's a communication, that doesn't mean you have to make a decision and things have to move forward right there. Like sometimes it is just about giving or receiving a message and then just thinking about it afterwards. So while things kind of look sudden and things kind of have to get addressed, that conversation needs to be had. Try not to rock the boat too much. Again, this can have a lot of good potential. It's just if you try to make the other person lose, it's going to be a lose-lose situation, versus if you're wanting both parties to win, this could easily be a win-win situation. This is what I'm kind of telling this is advice for all of the signs. But we end April with the full moon in Scorpio, which is going to, this is a really big one for you, because this is going to be a really big look at you in relationships. That full moon is happening in your first house. So, the moon lights up the night, right? The moon lights up the dark. Scorpio is literally the dark sign, right? We don't have to talk about Scorpios being secretive and being very private people, especially the Scorpio risings, which you should be watching this if you're Scorpio rising. With that full moon happening in your first house, there's this kind of expose. There's this kind of, if you're going to be engaged with someone, you have to reveal things. And I think that revelation can be scary. I think that exposure is intimidating. However, I think also this full moon closing out the month is really going to be a time to ask yourself, who, not necessarily who am I, but again, there's the spiritual healing that you're doing at the same time, and I think this full moon is really going to ask yourself, who are you on a spiritual level, on a spiritual plane? Can you identify yourself that way? And maybe this person that you're with, or this person you're engaged with, this could even be a teacher too. This person really kind of can be a facilitator for that, in a sense, right? Or kind of leads you down that path. It really does look like, though, by the end of the month, a lot of things get revealed. You're going to have to share some information and some truth about you, which can be sensitive, but I also think this is an opportunity to do something I don't want to say do something you've never done before. It's going to be easier this time than usual, because I think there's also going to be a lot of trust with this person. I think this is a trust exercise, which we know you've got some work to do on that. But that's April for you guys. The beginning of April looks cool, you're on your shit, and then all of a sudden things get really serious and deep, but that's good. You like deep living, right? Fuck all the surface stuff. Life's about the deeper meaning stuff. So I really think you get a lot of that this month. And that's what I got for you guys. All right. So Pisces rising, week 1. Your mental energy is going to get much more focused on your money, your possessions, your resources, whether it's just looking at how to take, advantage of what you have and use it to your best ability, whether it's understanding at a deeper level money, or educating yourself in some way. There's going to be much more of a mental focus on your money, on your possessions, what you're doing with them, if you need to pay off any bills, or if you just need to get a handle on your finances. This is really going to be the time to do it. And you might be enjoying spending money, especially on home purchases at this moment. Although by the weekend, by the end of week 1, you're going to be kind of questioning why you're spending what you're spending on your home, or you might, have an unexpected expense come up that you didn't really see come up in the home. So there's just going to be a little bit of confusion over the whole money and home and what you're investing into it. Nothing's really going to be exactly clear. However, just try to maybe leave a little bit of cushion room for maybe something that you want to splurge on for the home. But it's once we get to week 2 where it gets a little bit more interesting because you kind of start the week having a much more, refreshing attitude towards finances, being able to kind of have like a new start almost there, kind of get things settled down, whether you want to, start a new budget, start saving for a new project, whatever it is. That's really what's going to be going on for week 2. You'll be busy in your home life as well, and things will start feeling pretty good for you in terms of communication, short distance traveling. You're gonna feel, maybe you want to take care of your car. This would be a good time for that. Siblings, a good time to reach out to siblings too. Your siblings will be doing good. You're just gonna be kind of like on top of things as of late. You might try to take on a lot during the weekend of week 2, and you may need to take some time for yourself. However, once the weekend concludes, you're going to be kind of looking at your account and being like, where did I spend all of that money at? Week 2 looks a little interesting, but I would say, you might be trying to take on too much more than you can handle. And maybe, you're definitely going to want some space away, some, space to kind of get away, maybe make some more space for you to relax at home. Yeah, but however, once the weekend concludes, though, that's really where things are going to go like, okay, what do I need to do with my, finances and money? Like, how much did I spend and all of that? So then once we get to week 3, week 3 is really the highlight of April. Your personal energy, your mental energy is going to be much more focused kind of, on your communication, really utilizing the knowledge that you have. How are you applying what you know? How are you getting what you know across? Are you teaching anything to anybody? Are you just, it's going to be like a lot of errands that you're kind of running, a lot of day-to-day stuff that you're kind of tackling. It's going to be good for communication. Again, your personal energy, your mental energy, and also much more of what you're enjoying right now is much more focused towards short distance traveling, communication of any kind. Maybe your siblings are doing it. Maybe you're hanging out more with your neighbors or people within your very immediate environment. You're going to be doing, like, again, a lot of a run around. There might be a spontaneous trip that comes up or a spontaneous event that kind of happens with, your sibling or a short distance travel trip that's very spontaneous and spur of the moment. So that looks a little bit fun. It might shake up your routine. You should embrace it, but try not to do anything too destabilizing. You don't want to rock the boat too much in this situation. You might end up also doing it alone too. That was the other thing. This may not be something that you do all by yourself. It might be something that you do alone just because you need to get away. This is a theme that's going to be coming up for the next little while, Pisces, that we talk about, is the theme of like isolation, alienation, being more by yourself. And I think this might be a trip or an opportunity that you might actually go at it alone. And you'll have an opportunity to receive a lot of emotional nurturing, especially if you spend time on any arts or any crafts, especially by pretty much the weekend of the 3rd week. Once the weekend starts, you're going to be much more motivated to doing much more recreational activities, having more fun, maybe even enjoying more sex too, having just much more like, fun and passion in your life. And it looks very emotionally nurturing, especially if you focus on like knowing that that's maybe what you need right now is maybe some more fun or some more recreation, something that's really, that can kind of fill up your cup in a sense. So then we get to week 4 and you kind of close the month out on kind of a really weird chapter in my opinion. Because you're going to have some kind of spontaneous things happen, whether with communication, short distance traveling, but there's something hidden that's coming up. There's some type of block that's kind of getting in the way. Something unexpected, something that you didn't see coming, that's, kind of surprising too, might kind of stop you. And it doesn't look bad. If it was bad, I would tell you that's like, oh, this is a bad unexpected thing. This just definitely looks like a maybe you were going to go on a trip to somewhere, but then you learn the place you're going to go to is like closed for construction or something like that. So you're like, okay, well, it's not the worst thing in the world, but now you can't do that. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look horrible. Definitely doesn't look amazing though. That's the for sure thing. I think you might find some complications, some again unexpected no's. However, we end the month of April with the full moon in Scorpio, and this is going to be a really spiritual full moon for you guys. You're going to feel very connected to your higher self, your intuition, especially too if you're doing any type of creative work right now. If you're doing any type of something that just kind of like fuels your identity, that fuels your passion, any type of creative work, really. This will be kind of like a look at, what you invest into it. This is also going to be really a big look at what your beliefs are, and also kind of letting go of maybe what fear you might have around like pleasure, or fear you might have around fun and enjoyment. There's some type of anxiety that I think that you're going to be dealing with there, and at the end of the month it really looks like you kind of, well, this full moon really kind of highlights this area for you where you go, okay, I guess it's time to address it. But this looks very replenishing, especially, for the water signs. We've had a lot of earth, a lot of air, a lot of dry. This looks very wet, very moist, very enjoyable. And so, to kind of close out April for you guys, April's kind of a weird month for you guys. It starts off, kind of much more focused on mundane stuff, and it kind of ends on this very spiritual, fun note. Things get a little bit crazier within the year, but that's what I got for you guys. So thank you guys so much for being here, watching, sharing, commenting, subscribing. I love and appreciate every single one of you, and I'll be seeing you next month.